Hello, music lovers, and welcome back to the channel. I'm glad to be back here. It's been a while since I've made a video. I've been trying my best to get back. I got so much stuff I want to talk about. I was going to come back before Halloween, but I got all wrapped up in that, trying to figure out what outfit I should wear and everything. And I came up with 3, but they weren't very good. I mean, at first I thought maybe I could be a serial killer, but then I thought, no, how about an unprepared hiker? I mean, nobody ever does that. I want to be original, you know? And then I thought maybe I could be an international businessman. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? But no, I decided, you know what? If I'm going to do Halloween right, I want to scare the living shit out of people. And so I had a couple of ideas there. So yeah, you know, this is all a joke. But you know what else is a joke? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, you know that I am no fan of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think that they have completely jumped the shark, all right? They pay no respect. They go out of the way now to insult the genre of rock and roll. And I say that because rock and roll is a genre, but they have completely hoarded out. Anybody can be a rock star now. As you're getting ready to see in this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a total joke, an insult to the rock and roll genre, and or ultimately just a bunch of clowns. All right, so here is reason number 1 for you. Number 1 reason is they induct artists into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that haven't even made a rock and roll album. All right, did you hear what I just said? It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's induct people that have never made a rock album. Isn't that great? We're talking about people like Jay-Z, LL Cool J, or as I like to call him, LL Stool J, the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac, NWA, Public Enemy, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious 5. I mean, haven't you ever listened to any of their rock albums? How about Whitney Houston, Donna Summer, Janet Jackson? I mean, I know when I was growing up, I used to listen to these rock albums from these rock artists all the time. How about Run DMC? Now, at least these guys have one album that kind of crossed into rock territory, 1985's King of Rock. But that album was by no means a rock and roll album. It actually did more to help hip-hop get into the mainstream. The next album, they teamed up with Aerosmith for Walk This Way. So does that mean that Aerosmith now can bust into the Hip-Hop Hall of Fame? Is that how that works? I mean, imagine trying to put a baseball team into the Football Hall of Fame or vice versa. That's basically what it's like now. They're so blatant and in your face that they're just putting in artists who have never even made a rock album. Case in point, 2022, the class that they just put in, Lionel Richie gets in. Now, Lionel, I met Lionel a number of years ago. I think it was back in 2000. I got to interview him for like 45 minutes. He was a really cool guy. But you know what? I have never considered Lionel Richie a rock and roll artist. And probably his most memorable album to me was Can't Slow Down. And the reason why is because he's sitting in a fucking chair for an album called Can't Slow Down. What's up with that? Well, according to Lionel Richie, this is how he explains getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when he's not a rock and roller. He says that rock and roll is not a color, it is a feeling, it is a vibe. And I say, you know what? Rock and roll is a genre. Every genre is a feeling. It has a vibe. So what does that mean? Is Led Zeppelin going to get inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame? Because, hey, we're all vibing here. And of course, one of the biggest insults to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is putting in Dummy Parton this year. That's right. Dummy Parton initially, and by the way, I am going to call her Dummy. I don't like to refer to her as Dolly. I prefer to keep it as factual as I can. You see, some people will probably tell you, you know what, I like Dolly Parton, but I don't think she should be in the Hall of Fame. Not me. I can't stand Dummy Parton. I think that she is about as good as a pile of chicken squat. All right? I really don't care for her at all. She has no business being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She even tried to get out of it when she first was nominated. She respectfully kind of turned it down, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would have nothing. They would have none of this. They wanted her in, and so she accepted. So now that Dolly Parton is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, she says that she's a rock star now. Yeah, and she's never made a rock album. As a matter of fact, when she performed at the induction ceremony, she debuted her first rock and roll song. Yeah, and thought it was really cute. And says that she's even going to make a rock and roll covers album now. I mean, this, folks, is the point that we've reached now with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You don't make your first rock and roll album until you get in, all right? That's the fucking clown show that we have gotten to now with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then, of course, we also had Eminem. He got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And, you know, just looking at the footage of him performing at the induction ceremony, I mean, does this look anything remotely like a rock concert to you? But yeah, no, this is the celebration of rock and roll, the spirit, the vibe, the bullshit. And here is reason number 2 why I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a joke, is they fail to induct key members. All right, case in point, we got Judas Priest, all right? They finally get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Judas Priest, you could say they were one of the godfathers of heavy metal, and so they get in, but you know who doesn't get in? Richie Faulkner. He's been playing guitar with them since 2011. Judas Priest wanted him inducted along with everybody else. The manager tried, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would have none of it. This is what she has to say. She says, I did try and get Richie to be inducted, but it revolves around a classic album, an iconic album, and he wasn't on such an album. So what she's talking about is the Hall of Fame really wanted to get the members who were on some of their biggest albums like British Steel or Stained Class, and Richie Faulkner, he just doesn't go back that far, you know, which is kind of a slap in the face when you think about it. This set of rules certainly didn't apply to the Foo Fighters when they got in. Their keyboard player, Rami Jaffee, he got in. He hadn't played with the band for very, very long. When the Red Hot Chili Peppers got inducted, Josh Klinghoffer went right in, even though he had only been on one album, never played on any of their classic stuff. And Metallica, when they got inducted, their new bass player, Robert Trujillo, he got inducted, even though he had only played on one album that had just literally dropped within the past couple of weeks of them getting inducted. He never played on the Black Album or Master of Puppets. Why a different set of rules for Metallica and the Chili Peppers than for Judas Priest? And speaking of a different set of rules, Judas Priest was not inducted into the Hall of Fame with the same award as Metallica or Black Sabbath. They were given the Musical Excellence Award, which is a bit different. Originally, it went to sidemen, meaning it went to people, but then they changed it, and I think the E Street Band was the first group to actually get this, and it didn't sit too well with Rob Halford. He said, why haven't they given us the same title as all of our friends? Black Sabbath, for example. There's a different tag, isn't there? I was pissed. I was a bit pissed. At the end of the day, does it matter? And you know Halford is right. Does it matter? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just a scam anyway. It's an insult to the genre. Does it really, really matter? But you know what does matter is Halford getting up with Dummy Parton and singing Jolene at the All-Star Jam. I don't know about you folks, but there is something unsettling about this scene. Like, this should not be, all right? I don't care how much you like Priest or how much you like Dummy Parton. This should not be happening at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me know what you think. I will say this, it was really cool to see a reunion of Judas Priest. They had KK Downing there. Glenn Tipton showed up, even though he's looking really frail nowadays. But, you know, Richie Faulkner is in there playing with the guys. Just a real shame that he didn't get the same credit as all the others. He's been in the band since 2011. In my opinion, a real kick in the teeth to Richie Faulkner that shouldn't have been. Here's reason number 3 why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a joke. They insult artists by making them wait. Yeah, so Pat Benatar has been waiting literally for years to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's had to sit around while Joan Jett gets in before her. I mean, come on, Joan Jett, I would have never expected Joan Jett to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Most of the songs that she's known for, she didn't even write, and she also has to sit around and watch the Go-Go's get in before her. I mean, the Go-Go's are really only known for one album, and they were over and done really quick. And again, you're making Pat sit around and wait while these lesser artists get in. Pat Benatar did way more for women, because not only did she help women get into the business, but she inspired them to do it according to their own terms. The record labels wanted to turn Pat Benatar into a sex object, but she was having none of it. She had her husband by her side, Neil. I'm glad to see them both get in, and what a refreshing change to see a couple weather being in a band with each other for decades. They didn't break up, they never got divorced, they're still a team, they're still happy, and they had a great performance at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She sounds good, she looks good, both of them playing very, very well. She's got a lot more years in her if she wants to. Now, if you happen to see Benatar's performance at the Hall of Fame ceremony, you'll notice that she didn't sing Hit Me With Your Best Shot, which is one of her biggest hits. It's because she pulled it out of her set out of respect to victims of mass shootings. She doesn't feel comfortable singing that. Now, while I think that's a bit much, hey, it's her career, it's her song, she can do whatever she wants, and quite frankly, she's got so many other songs that she can pull out that I'm sure fans would like to hear. One of them that I think she should definitely pull out and tell why she's playing it is Hell Is for Children. All right, because the last 3 or so years, kids have been going through hell between having to wear masks while they're playing sports at school. We got people questioning their genders in disgusting ways and having to sit through drag queen story time hour. Are you kidding me? Bring back Hell Is for Children, and let's wake some people up, all right? Now, here's reason number 4 why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a joke. They tend to celebrate marginal rock bands. Look, I think that the Eurythmics are a cool band, all right, but I would have never guessed that they would have gotten inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, come on, the first time we saw them, they were very much a keyboard-driven band, kind of in the vein of Depeche Mode and everything, and I never really thought of them as like a rock and roll band. To me, they were always more of just like a pop band. But, you know, this goes without saying that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has been celebrating some of these marginal bands like Depeche Mode. You know, if you went to a Depeche Mode concert for the longest time, these guys stood behind fucking keyboards. There was no drummer. There was no real instruments going on there. What the hell is up with that? That's not a rock band. They also put in Kraftwerk is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. These guys were not inspired by the Beatles or the Stones or the blues. This was an electronic band, okay? No rock and roll going on, but they're in there. And you know who else got in? Harry Belafonte got in for 2022. How the hell does Harry Belafonte get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even as an influence? I've never heard anybody ever say, yeah, you know, Harry Belafonte was a big influence on my style. You know, who's next? Harry from Harry and the Hendersons? And here's reason number 5 why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is such a joke, is that they fail to recognize eligible bands. That's right, we're talking about bands that they have some rock albums. Isn't that nice that they have some rock albums? Here are some bands that have not been inducted into the Hall of Fame, some of them not even nominated. Bad Company, what the hell is up with that? Boston, Blue Oyster Cult, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Foreigner. How about Huey Lewis? Now, Huey Lewis is a rock and roll band, all right? They are true to the genre more than a lot of other bands that they're putting in. And some of you may be saying, Huey Lewis, and I say to you, Tupac, the Notorious B.I.G., the Go-Go's, and you're asking me about Huey Lewis? Look, Huey Lewis has been keeping the heart of rock and roll beating. Now, of course, lately, Huey's been having some issues with his hearing. So my recommendation to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, you know, let's get Huey in there while he can still hear the fucking news, all right? Come on. Here's some other bands that should be in there. Iron Maiden, I mean, come on. Jethro Tull, Jay Giles Band, there's a rock and roll band for you. King Crimson. If you're going to put Kraftwerk in because they were an influence on Depeche Mode, 2 bands who aren't even rock and roll, then why don't you put in King Crimson, because they were an influence on Yes and Genesis and Rush, who are already in the Hall of Fame. And then you got Motorhead, of course, a big influence on metal. They should have been in before Metallica. And then you've got a bunch of solo artists that haven't even made it in yet. Ozzy Osbourne, he's in with Black Sabbath, but he's not in by himself. He's had a real long career, and he was a big influence on setting the tone for heavy metal during the 80s. You've also got Pete Townsend of The Who. He's not even in as a solo artist. How about Sammy Hagar, Sting, Phil Collins, Robert Plant? These guys, you could say they're already in with their bands, but they've had long, successful solo careers. They should be in there too. So let me know what you think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What bands do you think should go in that haven't been inducted yet? And you know what? Does it even matter? Why do we give a shit? This is an institution that has basically raped the rock and roll genre. You can make your first rock and roll album after you get in. This is the clown world that we're living in now. What do you think about all this? Be sure to drop it below. Let me know what you think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, especially the 2022 class, all right? And, you know, it's been great coming back, doing this video, and I've got some more coming. I've got a couple of videos that I'm working on, but it's good to see you guys. Let me know how you've been. Drop it down below, and, you know, I'll see you soon. And until next time, I want you to take care of yourselves. Don't take any shit from anybody, and I'll see you soon.